Hello everyone, welcome to AWS Tutorials. In AWS Tutorials, you learn about AWS services. Today I'm going to talk about how to interactively build Glue job using Jupyter Notebook and Glue Studio. So let's get started. Let's try to understand what exactly we mean by interactive Glue job development. So you all know that when you're writing a Glue job, actually you're writing a PySpark code and you write many lines of code. Now what I mean by interactive development here is that instead of writing the whole Glue job code in one go and testing it or running it, you can run your code line by line, run it. So you write your code line by line, you run it, see the outcome, and if you're happy with the outcome, then you write the second line of code and third line of code, and that's how you complete your Glue job. So instead of writing all the script at one go and running it and seeing the outcome, actually you're building your script line by line, seeing the outcome, running it, seeing the outcome, and if you're happy, then moving forward with the development. And once you are done with this kind of line by line code development or code development, then you update your job configuration and finally save this whole code block or lines of code as a Glue job. So that's what I call interactive Glue job development, where you're not writing the whole block of the script in one go and running it, but you are developing your code line by line, testing it line by line, and once you are happy with each of these execution, then each of the line execution or an outcome, then you save that as a Glue job. So I will show you how exactly it works, and then probably I will make more sense. Okay, but before I talk about how this feature works and how you can do that, let's see what other Glue job authoring mechanisms available and whether they offer any interactive development or not. So let's start with using Glue Studio. So you know that you can use Glue Studio to write the Glue job. And two big methods. By the way, this interactive development is also one of the Glue Studio feature. It's a new feature which is still under preview. But classically, in Glue Studio, actually you can do development in two ways. One, you can do a UI driven drag and drop development. So where you're like simply kind of dragging and dropping a business logic on the screen, configuring it, and then making this whole business logic work for your Glue job. And second was writing your job script, like you write a Python code or PySpark code, you simply write your job script. Now, in case of UI driven drag and drop, it is a UI driven development where you basically, as you can say, it's a configuration driven development where you can simply drag and drop, reading from the source, then transformation, then writing to the target. You simply do the configuration, you don't write any line of code. So since it is a configuration driven development, you don't need to learn PySpark syntaxes because when you bring in any kind of transformation or reading from the source or writing to a target, you simply need to configure that on the screen, configure that on the UI. You don't need to understand what is the syntax running behind, what is the code being developed, generated behind. So you don't need to learn PySpark syntaxes. That's one of the benefits. But you cannot do any interactive development. So you can't say, okay, I'm reading from the source, let me see what data it brings or what schema it presents. And then I'm doing some transformation and let me see how does that transformation look like. You cannot do that kind of interactive development. When you try to write, so that's one method, and we try to write a script. Basically, in this case, you are writing your script. You are not doing a UI driven development, but you are basically writing the code just like you write code for any other thing. In this case, of course, you need to understand PySpark syntaxes because you are writing your code. You are not doing any drag and drop and configuration kind of thing. In this case, basically, mostly people use this thing if they are trying to write a Python shell job. So if people are writing a PySpark job, then people try to use more UI driven development because then they don't need to write any line of code. But if they are building Python shell-based job, then in that case, people, since drag and drop method is not available for Python shell jobs, so in that case, they try to use create job by writing the JavaScript. Now, in this case, also, no interactive development possible. So you cannot you cannot write your line of code, run it, see the outcome, and decide the next line and then next line. You cannot do that. Okay. So both of these methods are great methods available, but they don't support interactive development. Another method which is using Glue developer endpoint, and this method was primarily used before Glue Studio came. And this method also uses Jupyter Notebook to actually do development using Glue developer endpoint. This is an interactive development mode because you are working inside a Jupyter Notebook. So you can, in this case, you can actually write your line of code and then you can see the outcome and then next line and next line, you can do that. But if you try to convert that code into a Glue job, there are multiple steps involved. So that's where it was. So it's a nice interactive development, but it does not provide a very niche mechanism or sophisticated mechanism to convert your code into a Glue job. So if I can help you through a picture, so basically what you do in this method, that you start a developer endpoint, then you start a Jupyter Notebook, then you do interactive development. So then in the Jupyter Notebook, you can write your line by line code, test it, and once your job is done, you basically save, once your code is developed, then you save that as a Python file and download it. And then you upload this Python file to an S3 bucket. Then you create a Glue job, which is simply going to use this S3 file as a script location. So this is where this red block I'm showing, this is, so once you have done with interactive development, these are the multiple steps you need to perform if you want to convert your code into a Glue job. You have to basically take out your script, save into the S3 bucket. You can do copy paste also, but mostly what people do, that people take out to the S3 bucket, and then they simply create a Glue job, and in the Glue job they said that, hey, my code is located into that S3 file, and that's how people write the Glue job. So you can see that, I mean, Glue developer endpoint does provide interactive development, but when it comes to converting that code into a Glue job, that's where it does a very nice thing. Multiple steps involved. I mean, as in a very simple term, it does great job, but multiple steps are involved to get it done. So what is the solution? The solution or the feature I want to discuss today is that you can use Jupyter Notebook now with Glue Studio. And when you do that, it provides you a true interactive development mechanism. So let me tell you how exactly it works. So in Glue Studio, you start a notebook session. So it's like launching a Jupyter Notebook. Then you simply do your interactive development. That means you write your code, run it, test it. Then you write the next line of code, run it, test it, so on and so forth. And then you set the job configuration, then and there only. And that also you can do very interactively. And finally, you save your Glue job. So no need to export your code and save it to the S3 bucket and then configure a Glue job. You can convert your code into Glue job then and there only in a couple of in a click of a couple of buttons, yeah, or even less. And we'll see how many clicks. Okay, so that's what I'm going to talk about, that how you can do such interactive development in Glue Studio, and then of course convert your code into a Glue job. Now, since it is an interactive development, and you also do many kind of job configuration when you try to do your to create your Glue job. So a few examples are, you select your worker type, you select your number of workers, you select any kind of external module you want to install or refer. Many such, I'm just naming the few configuration here, key configuration here, but there are many other configuration which you can choose. Each of these configuration can also be defined in Notebook interactively. So for instance, you use this format called percentage and then your magic or the configuration. So percentage configuration and then the value. This is the format you use to set the value of a particular job configuration in notebooks. So if I'm running this into my Jupyter Notebook, it is saying that choose G.2x as the worker type. If I'm running my percentage number of workers to 4, that means choose my number of workers equal to 4. If I'm saying that this is my additional Python module, AWS Wrangler, and then this is the location, it's saying that I'm going to use an external module, AWS Wrangler, and this is the wheel location of my wheel file location of my code. So this way you can configure in the same way like you write your code into Jupyter Notebook in interactive fashion. You can also configure your job configuration in interactive fashion. And when I show you this, guys, how it works, you realize it's much simpler than probably how I'm explaining here in the slide. So that's pretty much the feature. Keep this in mind. This feature is under preview at this point of time, and right now it is available in Tokyo, North Virginia, North California, and Oregon. And today I'm going to use Oregon as the region for my demo. Okay, and what we are going to do in this demo is that we have created, we have put an S3 a file into an S3 bucket, and then we have simply cataloged it in Glue. And then I'm going to use AWS Glue Studio and Jupyter Notebook to do interactive development and simply convert my script into a job. Yeah, that's what I'm going to show you as a demo. So let's go to the AWS console. Here is my AWS console. What I have done here is that I have a bucket called Dojo My Bucket, where I've got a customers folder. In that I have got a CSV file, customers.csv file. This CSV file I have cataloged. So in Glue cataloged, I have a DojoDB as a database. Then in the table, I have got customers as a table. You can see customers table is looking into that particular folder for the data. And if I open the customers folder, customers catalog schema, this is how the schema look like. So now we are going to the AWS Glue Studio, and then we are going to do an interactive development of our code. And what I want to do here, I'll simply read this customers file using this catalog, and I'm going to write that to my output folder location. So I simply read it. I will check the schema just to see if file is looking good, and then I will simply write it to the output location, this particular folder. And right now this particular folder is empty. Okay. So let's do that. So for that, I click on this AWS Glue Studio. It will open a Glue Studio like this. So here I go in the left hand side, and I'm choosing Oregon as the region because I told you this feature is right now available in a couple of regions only, and Oregon is one of the regions. So if I click on the jobs over here, I see a method called Jupyter Notebook method for development, and still right now on the preview. And here I have two choices. If I have an existing notebook, I can simply provide I can simply upload my notebook over here, or I can create a notebook from the scratch. So I'm going to create a notebook from the scratch. For that, I simply click on the create button. And it's saying, okay, tell me the job name, because it converts your script into jobs. So it asks for a couple of configuration upfront, saying, okay, tell me what job name will be used. And I say, this is my Dojo job, and saying, okay, which IAM role, and I am simply going to select Dojo Glue role. Okay, so I simply select my IAM role for my Glue job, and then I provide my Glue job name, and then I'm going to start the notebook job. So when I click on this, it's going to start a Jupyter Notebook session, and in that session I'm going to do interactive development. When I'm done with my interactive development, I will simply convert that into a Glue job or save as a Glue job. It's as simple as that. So let me start the notebook job. Now it's going to take some time, so I'm going to pause the video, and then we will start again once I have my notebook server up and running and my notebook session established with the server. So let's wait till this is ready. Okay, so my notebook has started and my notebook session has started. You can see it is using Glue PySpark, this notebook, and then it has got few definition in the beginning. So for instance, I can use these percentage and then configuration keys to configure my Glue job parameters. So you can see here I can set up the Glue version, worker type, number of worker, any extra jars, any extra Python files, any additional modules. If I want to use some of the connections, yeah, all those things I can do from here. I will change my IAM role. I can set my region. A lot of things I can do over here. So what I'm going to do here, so the few things in the beginning, what typical configuration people can set up here actually, and what are the keys to be used, that we will do later. Now, first thing, it has set up a configuration. It is setting my session ID first of all, and then it is it's going to start starting a new session actually. So it's going to set up a session ID for me. It is setting my timeout period. Then it is setting a few configurations such as my region is Oregon, and then here is the IAM role which I'm going to use to run my Glue job or run this interactive session as well. So let me run the first, and this is what interactive development is. You can, like a typical Jupyter Notebook development, you can write your code and you can test it. So first let me set up this configuration. So I'm going to run this cell to set up my configuration. So you can see it has set up the configuration. Now what I'm going to do, that I'm going to import some of the important PySpark and Glue context libraries, and then I'm going to start a Glue context. So let me run. So these are the code already generated, which typically you do when you run a Glue job. So I'm going to run the second cell, and this is basically going to start start my session here. So you can see here it's starting my PySpark session, and it is not ready yet. So let's give it a time when it is ready. Okay, so you can see here my session has been created. So my session is established now. Now I'm good. I can now start doing the development, and it is like a development, your typical development you do in a Jupyter Notebook. So first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to read from my source location. So for that, I'm going to do some copy paste of the thing here. But basically what I'm going to do here is that I'm saying that here using the Glue context, and this Glue context was created over here. You can see typical PySpark development in Glue job. So I want to create from catalog, from this database, from this table, I want to create a data frame. So I want to run this line of code first. So I simply run this line of code, and you can see it's interactive development. I can run it and I can test my outcome right away. So I'm running this code. My data frame is loaded. You can see here. Now I can check the schema of my data frame. So I can simply say, okay, let me see how does my schema of my data frame look like. And if I run this, I can see the schema of my data frame. Okay. So it should be, yeah, here it shows my schema, and just like, okay, fine, this is, now I can add more transformation and those kind of things, but I'm trying to keep the video short today. So you can see here, so so you can see what I mean by interactive development, that you can write your code and can see the output then and there only. Now what I'm going to do is that I'm going to simply write this as an output to the this DF file. I'm going to convert into a JSON document, and I'm saving into a different folder. So for that, I write a code which is Glue context, write dynamic frame from option, write this data frame. Connection type is S3. This is my location, and I want to convert this CSV file into a JSON file. So what basically this line of code is going to do is that this is simply going to convert my CSV file into JSON file and write to this output location. So let me run this code as well. And the code has completed, and I can actually verify that. If I can come over here, and if I refresh my output folder, I can see my document has been created. My data has been converted into JSON document. So now I am done with my development. If I want to see, so I have done a lot of code here. So the few codes were automatically generated for me. I simply run it. Then a couple of lines of code I wrote over here, and I simply run my code and check the output. Now I want to see how does my job script look like. I can simply go to this script folder over here and say, see, everything you wrote there. First you read from the data frame, then you did the print schema to check the schema, then you write it to the output folder, like in the S3 output folder. All those code has been automatically converted into a job script. Now, actually I'm good to go and save it as a job, but one more thing I want to show you. So if I go to my job details, you can see it has already configured it with my configuration. So it has got my job name over here, which I already plotted in the beginning. It has got my IAM role. My type is PySpark. My Glue version is 3.0. Then language is Python. Worker type is G.1x. Number of workers is 10. These things has been already configured for me. Number of retries and everything. Now what I want to do, I want to see if I want to change some of this configuration. I cannot change here. I have to use this percentage magic framework. Like you have to put that as a configuration into your notebook only. So what I'm going to do, I come back to here my, I come back to my notebook, and I'm going to change my worker type, which was 10 to 20. So I simply, if you look at here, for instance, if I need to change my worker type, this is the magic I have to use. This is the configuration I have to use. So what I'm doing here, I'm simply saying percentage number of worker, and that is 20. If I run that, this into my cell, it's going to change my number of worker to 20. If I go to, in fact, job details again, you can see here, my number of workers have changed to 20 now. So that's how you can change any of the job configuration parameter in the notebook itself. Now, actually, I am ready with my code. I want to convert this into a job, but you know what? I'm not happy in this script. I see this is a print scheme. This was okay for me for the testing purpose, but I don't want it anymore. So what I will do, I'll simply come over here and say this print scheme, I don't need it anymore. I simply cut that cell. That print scheme statement I don't want. I go back to my script, and you can see that print statement is not there anymore. Now I can simply, this code looks good to me. I have tested it line by line. It works as expected. Now I can simply save it. And when I save it, it's simply going to convert this into a job. So you can see here, it has got converted into a job. So now I can, it is a job now. So in fact, if I go to my jobs over here, so you can see here, it has, this is the script. This is my job details. I can schedule it now. Of course, I can run it as well on demand. So what I'm going to do, I want to show you first this job. Okay, let's keep it there. You can see this job is here. I can simply select this job like this and say I want to run this job. And you can simply run this job like any job you run. So it's going to finish running soon, and then it will write the output again in the same S3 bucket. So that was an example of how you can do interactive development using Jupyter Notebook in Glue Studio. So this is still under preview, but it's a very interesting feature where instead of writing the whole block of job code, you want to develop your code line by line and want to see how the outcome comes and are you happy with that. Then you write next line of code. If you want that kind of interactive development, you can use this method. Of course, in this method, you need to know the PySpark sentences and methods and how it works. It's not a drag and drop approach, but many people who, like, for instance, knows the PySpark sentences by heart. I mean, yeah, they will love this method where they can simply develop their job code line by line, test it, and then convert that into a Glue job. So that's pretty much what I want to talk today, and what I mean by interactive development of a Glue job using Glue Studio and Jupyter Notebook. Hope you like the video, and if you like the video, please click on the like button. Please subscribe to my channel. I always look forward to your feedback and comments, whether it is for a new content or any kind of correction you are making into my videos, or if you have any general purpose architecture or design questions related to AWS. Please feel free to reach out to me. I love to answer you, as much as possible. And in fact, yeah, I generally try to not to miss any of the question. So look forward to your feedback and comments, which will help me improve my content further. And I promise to come back again in a week's time with another such video. In the meantime, yeah, please stay safe and have a nice day. Bye-bye.